The public viewing of Pope Francis's body begins on Wednesday. His funeral has been set for Saturday, and the White House has begun the process of looking for a replacement for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth. Good morning. I'm Corfa Coleman from NPR News, and here are today's top stories. The Vatican says the body of Pope Francis will be moved tomorrow to St. Peter's Basilica for several days of public mourning. Roman Catholic cardinals have set the pontiff's funeral for Saturday. Pope Francis is the only pontiff to take the name of St. Francis of Assisi. He is the Roman Catholic patron saint of animals and ecology. NPR's Jeff Brady reports Francis also pushed for action on climate change during his 12-year papacy.
Pope Francis's 2015 climate encyclical did not mince words. Quote, "The earth, our home, is beginning to look more and more like an immense pile of filth." The letter called on rich countries to help poorer ones and inspired new religious organizations focused on climate to form. Christiana Zenner is a theology professor at Fordham University.
The Catholic Church now has to be seen as an entity that is concerned about care for creation and people's faith lives together. I don't think that can be erased.
More than 8,000 families, schools, groups, dioceses, and other organizations have pledged to take actions in response to Francis's climate encyclical. Jeff Brady, NPR News.
Roman Catholic cardinals will meet within 20 days to select the next pope. This meeting is called a conclave. It will be conducted in the Vatican's historic Sistine Chapel. NPR has learned that the White House may be looking for a new defense secretary. That's after Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth used the messaging app Signal to share sensitive information about U.S. military strikes on Yemen, this time with his family. This is the second time Hegseth used the Signal chat to do this, and it was on a personal cell phone. Hegseth denies that any of the shared information was classified.
What was shared over Signal, then and now, however you characterize it, was informal, unclassified coordinations for media coordination and other things. That's what I've said from the beginning. At the beginning, it was left-wing reporters from The Atlantic who got a hold of it and then wanted to create a problem for the president. This is what it's all about, trying to get at President Trump and his agenda.
He spoke to Fox News. A note, NPR's CEO Catherine Marr is the chair of the board of the Signal Foundation, which supports the messaging app. The Department of Homeland Security says a thief stole the purse of Secretary Kristi Noem on Sunday night. She was at a Washington restaurant having dinner with her family. Noem has lost her passport, agency badge, and about $3,000 in cash. Officials with U.S. Immigration and Customs Enforcement have rejected the request of a former Columbia University graduate student for a temporary release from detention. Mahmoud Khalil missed the birth of his first child yesterday in New York. NPR's Adrian Florido reports President Trump is seeking to deport Khalil over his pro-Palestinian activism.
Since ICE agents arrested him in New York last month, they've held Khalil at a remote detention center in Louisiana. His lawyers have been trying to free him while his federal lawsuit challenging his arrest as unconstitutional moves forward. On Sunday, his wife went into labor. Khalil's lawyers asked the director of ICE's Louisiana office to temporarily release him so he could attend the birth. The request was quickly denied. Mark Vanderhoot is one of Khalil's lawyers.
He had certainly hoped and expected that the government would show some humanity, but they did not.
His baby was born the next day. Khalil listened on the phone. Adrian Florido, NPR News.
4 congressional Democrats are in El Salvador on behalf of Kilmar Abrego Garcia. He is the migrant illegally deported from Maryland last month. NPR's Joel Rose reports the lawmakers are calling on the Trump administration to return Abrego Garcia to the United States.
4 Democrats from the House of Representatives, including Maxwell Frost of Florida, traveled to El Salvador to show their support for Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
We want to see him know he's alive and know that he's well. But also, we want to make sure that this story doesn't go away.
Frost says they were not allowed to meet with Abrego Garcia because their trip was not sanctioned as an official congressional delegation. The Trump administration is refusing to bring Abrego Garcia back to the U.S., despite a Supreme Court order to, quote, facilitate his return. In court filings, the Justice Department confirmed that Abrego Garcia has been moved out of a notorious megaprison to a different penitentiary in El Salvador. Joel Rose, NPR News.
Harvard University is suing the Trump administration. This is to prevent the loss of more than $2 billion in federal funding. NPR's Janaki Mehta prepared this report.
The lawsuit alleges the government is trying to, quote, leverage to gain control of academic decision-making at Harvard. This comes after Harvard refused to comply with a long list of demands from the Trump administration to overhaul its admissions, hiring, and other policies, including diversity, inclusion, and equity programs. The administration fired back by freezing more than $2.2 billion in federal funding and threatening to revoke Harvard's tax-exempt status. In the past week, it has also threatened to eliminate visas for international students at Harvard. Now, the nation's oldest university is taking on the White House in court. Harvard's president, Alan Garber, said the consequences of the Trump administration's attack would be, quote, severe and long-lasting. Janaki Mehta, NPR News.
The Federal Trade Commission is suing ride-sharing company Uber. The FTC claims Uber deceived customers about a subscription service known as Uber One. NPR's Bobby Allen reports.
The FTC says Uber automatically signed people up for a premium service known as Uber One. The lawsuit claims Uber never received some customers' consent, failed to deliver promised savings, and made it difficult for people to cancel. For instance, the FTC says Uber requires 12 different actions in the app to cancel and that it was impossible to opt out within 48 hours of a billing date. Regulators say such a process violates federal consumer protection laws. An Uber spokesman says canceling is clear, simple, and follows the spirit of the law. The FTC action comes as both Meta and Google are in federal court facing government lawsuits that could force the breakup of the companies. Bobby Allen, NPR News.
The U.S. Department of Education says that it will again start collecting payments from student borrowers who have loans that are in default. NPR's Janaki Mehta reports collections will resume on May 5th.
During the pandemic, the Biden administration introduced a series of measures that gave students wiggle room on federal student loan payments. The reprieve was never permanent. Now the Trump administration says the Education Department will begin collections next month. It could also begin garnishing wages from borrowers, meaning a portion of their paycheck would automatically be sent to the federal government. Linda McMahon, the education secretary, says, quote, American taxpayers will no longer be forced to serve as collateral for irresponsible student loan policies. About 5.3 million borrowers are in default on their federal student loans. Janaki Mehta, NPR News.
This is NPR.